just kind of talked about, hey, you know, encouraging someone to know that, hey, there's value in your truth. There's value in knowing, okay, I'm here. Now that you know that you're here and you're honest with it, you can get to a next level. You know, you can. So there's value in your truth, and those are the terms that kind of came to me. Can I tweet that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. Go ahead. Yeah, there is. I am a firm believer in truth. If you stand in the truth, nothing else can stand against it, right?
Yep. No, I also know that you are you're musically inclined. Like you know, I know. I think I recall you playing the piano.
Yes.
So now you play the piano.
Yes.
Do you play any other instrument?
The viola.
The viola.
Yes, and I wish I played the sax.
Really?
Yes, I love the sax is the instrument that sounds the closest to the human voice. So I always love the sound of it. But I was so vain when it was time to take an instrument. Because I thought it was gonna puff out my cheeks and I'll get wrinkles. That's why I didn't take the sax.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, truth be told, truth serum right there. But piano, I started when I was 6. Mm-hmm. And my sister and I took the piano, and my brother, I think. But I was the only one that they didn't have to force to play. I would always sit down and play. And then I went to the Royal Conservative of Music. My parents put us through music school professionally. So I'm classically trained to grade 6. And then from there, I stopped playing for 10 years. And then there was a need, and I went back into playing for my church. And then I kind of just started playing by ear and just the different structures of like chord structures and stuff. But yeah, music is my oxygen.
You know, I'm going to have some sax players on the show.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I actually, one of the courses I taught at the College of New Rochelle, I have a jazz musician there who was, you know, really, really good. Steve Carrington is his name. Okay. And a friend of mine's long time ago, actually in a youth choir. He's well renowned all over the world. Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips. He just dropped a new album, real good.
Oh, awesome! I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah. So, I wanted to ask you, you're married.
Yes.
You're married. So, I wanted to ask you, like, where did you how long you've been married, and where did you meet your husband?
Okay, so this is going to be like a truth confession time, because I've been married for 14 years. And I met my husband in Toronto when we met online. That's the part that I've never told people, that we met online, because online back then to me it sounded desperate. I don't care anymore. So because it worked out beautifully. So he came to Toronto to meet me, and I introduced him to my family. Like we had a family barbecue, and my family is huge. It was 200 people. And I was still struggling with a lot of things. And I figured, okay, there's somebody in my family that's not going to like him. So this will be my way to just dismiss him and move on, because my healing process was like this. I made complete bad choices for a long time because I didn't want to address. I went south because I was mad at God. My faith was weakened. But here comes a man of God, and he's willing to listen. He said to me, I know you've been through some stuff, and I'm here to, I know that you've been through a few things, and I need you to talk to me about it, because I'm not going anywhere. And I was like, who is this?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've gone through our struggles, mainly because my thing was I was afraid of somebody controlling me. So I sought to control all situations before they had an impact to hurt me.
That was my next question. I really wanted to talk to you about coming out of an abusive relationship, how do you begin again, and just with relationships, and I guess, yeah, how do you begin again that,
Oh gosh, it was rough, because after that, you know, you have that dialogue, and you know, you're just less. So the drinking started because you don't want to hear the noise, and then you hear your mom and your parents and your grandparents, because in our culture everybody gets involved when there's one black sheep, saying, you know, why are you doing this? You've grown up in the church. We grew up in the church. I know the Bible, but I know of God, but I didn't have any relationship with me, but I still heard every Bible verse. And so I would drink and drink. The drinking subsided, and I was just in a depression, because one couldn't cancel out the other. Once you plant the seed of the word in somebody, it's always going to be there until you nourish it to continue to grow. So long story short, there was a lot of bad choices. There was a lot of similar choices, to the point where I was trying to provoke men to hit me, because I thought that was love. So it was warped. And then I did go to counseling for 1 or 2 sessions, but it was too great for me to speak to everything. And the only refuge that I found is when I went back and I started to reconnect my relationship to God, and he reminded me of who he is, and his love is from the east to the west. It's just endless, right? And then I started to value myself more. And then I had some rough relationships, and then I paused altogether and thought, there is never anybody going to want this damaged goods. And then he sent Derek, and it's been a great story, not without its bumps, but it's been a great story. He's been a great compliment to what I've been through. He's been a great source of support. He's the complete opposite of who I am, thank God, because if there was 2 of me, I don't know what I would do. He's a beautiful, kind, wonderful spirit, and he took the time to nurture my wounds, and it's because of him that I'm able to heal and stand before you like this, because if I didn't have his support, if I didn't have his words of comfort, it would be a total different person you're talking to today.
So what do you say to someone who, just got out of an abusive relationship?
Don't get into one right away. Get to understand what's your association of love. How do you classify love? What does love mean to you? And if you ask most abused women, they don't know that answer. They have this lollygag stuff of what's on the soap operas, and that's scripted love. But to experience true love, you have to understand what love is. You got to understand who you are as a person, what you want from another person, what are your musts and what are your must nots, right? And then you have to be very clear and make sure that you don't compromise them along the way. Always check your currency. Make sure that the value is up.
Woo! Wow. That was a lot, Sheryl. That was a lot. And we could spend, a long time kind of just delving into that, because it's so important, your value. How do you see yourself? I'm reminded of a scripture where the spies went out, Caleb and Joshua came back with a good report.
Right.
The other spies came back and they said we were like grasshoppers in our own sights. Like they had such a small, tiny understanding or vision of themselves. They cowered from what they saw.
Right.
Yet, Caleb and Joshua, who had an understanding of who was going before them, God, who was with them, God, who, they had an understanding of that.
Right.
And so their value and what they knew they could accomplish was evident. And they uttered that. And so when you talk about, young women, young men for that matter, people who don't have a good understanding of who they are in God, abuse is inevitable.
Right. Yes, it is. Abuse will be inevitable, especially too when they're feeding themselves with what is classified and the slangs now that you can call your woman. And what's acceptable. Those things. I don't want any friend that calls me a B. I don't want any. Don't call my granddaughter, my daughter. It's just, to me, it's just disrespectful. And I just feel that that's when we're lowering our standards. So you got to expect what you're getting at that point. So don't come and complain about, well, this is my B or whatever, and you allowed him to demote you like that. You allowed that because you said it was okay. So I think all the censoring we have, all the media, we got to be very careful what we feed our minds, because it becomes our norm. We get desensitized to what we see often enough that it's okay to talk to women like that. Oh, it's okay to get a man like that. It's not okay. So you have to find out what your core values are. And
no, I agree. One of my mentors, I consider him a mentor, the late Miles Monroe, used to say, if you don't know the purpose of a thing, abuse is inevitable.
Right.
So if you don't know a purpose of a woman, you don't know the purpose of a man, you don't know a purpose of anything. If you were trying to build a house and you don't know the purpose of a hammer,
right,
you're gonna have a lot of holes in a lot of different places.
That's right.
So no, you're so right. When we come into a relationship and we don't understand the purpose, the purpose of a relationship, the purpose of and the power of a man,
right,
the purpose and power of a woman, then there's going to be a disconnect.
Absolutely, yes.
Got it. So when you started to experience writing, you said, with the wounded soul, that whole process of writing for that play, how did you deal with the issues or the things that kind of got brought back up?
It was prayer. It was in prayer. I had to deal with it in prayer, and again, my husband's support. Only because I was talking about what I went through, but I didn't do the details, and it was only going through the details and remembering that experience. It just drew everything, and then I remembered another thought that I didn't think about that was connected to that. Like the story that I portrayed, it just is a touch of some of the abuses that I suffered. I didn't even go into everything that I went to, but just know that that's the common denominator. So it's just I had to move through it, but I had to do a lot of prayer. I had to do a lot of prayer and remember that the reason that I was doing it was for people to get to know me, which actually reversed on me. It helped.
Help you know yourself, right? Help to kind of better understand yourself.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing how God does that, and how there's a talk that I give about the power of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I believe that when you're authentic, you're able to power your career, your lifestyle, your next level. But it's all about being authentic. It's all about being who you are. I'll just give you just an example for today. I gave someone a ride, and I could have, I could have said, hey, I'm really studying for this interview, but I did have a couple of minutes, and so I gave the person a ride, and on the way, I was able to meet someone that I knew and hadn't seen in years, able to give them some information, what have you, and that's going to germinate and grow. But I wouldn't have had that experience if I wasn't being who I authentically am. Someone who likes to give, someone who likes to speak a word of encouragement, someone who likes to do that. And so I find as I'm continue, as I continue to be authentic, you know, there's blessing in that.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to segue on that because that's the exact same reason I did the Women's Worth Awards. Because after the play ended, I knew it came out, God's timing was perfect because I started before the Me Too movement, and it came out just in the midst of everything.
Right.
And my husband's like, you can't move out from here. You got to stay here. You got to do it again. So I'm thinking, what am I going to do, Lord? I don't know how to help these people. Like, I just want to help the people that came to me and said, you know, thank you for speaking your truth because it helped me. This happened in my family. Men and women came up to me. So I was like, wow, I didn't know. I felt for the first time not alone in what I experienced. So I laid in bed that day and I woke up at 2 o'clock the next morning. I told my husband, I have an idea, blah, 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 blah. He's like, and I wrote it down and I formulated all of Women's Worth Awards in the space of an hour from just being downloaded. And I believe it was just straight from God. And I knew exactly how it was going to happen. The award name, it was boom, 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 boom. And the first one sold out. So it was amazing. And it's one of my favorite events because it allows me to use my platform to give voice to other people's how they've socially impacted the community, which actually drives other people for a call to action. So it just creates this huge awareness. You know, some people leave and then they want to do other things to help people, because the key for a recipient of the award is not just overcoming adversity. I don't want people just standing there. You have to be reaching back and doing something for somebody else, one person or a community, have your organization, because I think it's important, and that's the tagline, to build legacies of support. I'm not going to be here, but I would love for forever, and I would just love people to remember what I did to raise a voice to this issue, and it continues and it continues and continues. I think that's the most beautiful thing you can leave.
You see, America, why we had to do a part 2. And guess what? I'm not going to even, you know, because it has to be a part 3. We're just going to bring her back. We're just going to bring her back. So much that I didn't even cover that I wanted to cover. But you see how rich the discussion is, right? Sheryl, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to let our audience know about?
Yes, one thing, I just started the Biz Circle, and it's a business resource hub for businesses who support each other. Yes. They make a promise to support each other more than just, you know, liking and sharing information. It's a commitment to for small businesses to be a resource to each other and present each other's businesses, and be able to have a conversation instead of just typing. So it's building a community. And there's a membership involved. It's like $25 for the year until the end of July. And I put it that the cost is that low and minimal because you have to have some skin in the game. When people have skin in the game, they commit. It's like, I'm not doing that one to make money. I saw that the businesses were struggling, and, you know, here I am. How can I help? What can I do? What can I do? So I decided to do this again, and I said, Lord, am I doing the right thing? But it's already forming within itself, and the people are building resources. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm confident that it's going to do so well because the wealth of information that the topic that we provide bi-weekly enhance the business knowledge, like online courses, how to create your own online courses, social media content, permissive marketing. We have a lady that's going to be speaking on day trading for beginners because it's important to know how to invest your money. So there's a lot of topics that are formulated for businesses. So I hope that everyone can check out the website and get some more information.
All right, tell us where the website for that.
It's thebizcircle.com, bizcircle.com, thebizcircle.com. And it'll direct you to the social media platforms from there.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
And I'm going to have you on too. So be prepared for that.
Yes. I'm ready. I'm ready. And I'm looking
Awesome.
forward to it. You know, I'm looking forward to it. Sheryl, thanks so much for kicking it with Brother Smalls. I really appreciate your time and your essence and who you are. And I'm just so elated that we've kind of started this dialogue and we'll continue the dialogue. You know, I appreciate you. I also want to say this is great content, y'all. You know, come on, let's get this community going. Let's get this community going. All right, you got Kicking It with Brother Smalls. Remember to share, like, comment, and subscribe. All right, we'll see you around. Peace and have a great day. Bye now.
Informs, uplifts, and elevates, and inspires, takes you higher.